Even light to moderate drinking is associated with harm to the brain, according to a new study. Researchers analyzed data from more than 36,000 adults that found a link between drinking and reduced brain volume that begins at an average consumption level of less than 1 alcohol unit a day, the equivalent of about half a beer, and rises with each additional drink. The research, using a dataset of more than 36,000 adults, revealed that going from 1 to 2 drinks a day was linked with changes in the brain equivalent to aging 2 years. Heavier drinking was associated with an even greater toll. The science on heavy drinking and the brain is clear. The two don't have a healthy relationship. People who drink heavily have alterations in brain structure and size that are associated with cognitive impairments. But according to a new study, alcohol consumption even at levels most would consider modest, a few beers or glasses of wine a week, may also carry risks to the brain. An analysis of data from more than 36,000 adults, led by a team from the University of Pennsylvania, found that light to moderate alcohol consumption was associated with reductions in overall brain volume. As an example, in 50-year-olds, as average drinking among individuals increases from 1 alcohol unit, about half a beer, a day to 2 units, a pint of beer or a glass of wine, there are associated changes in the brain equivalent to aging 2 years. Going from 2 to 3 alcohol units at the same age was like aging 3.5 years. The team reported their findings in the journal Nature Communications. The fact that we have such a large sample size allows us to find subtle patterns, even between drinking the equivalent of half a beer and 1 beer a day, says Gideon Nave, a corresponding author on the study and faculty member at Penn's Wharton School. He collaborated with former postdoc and co-corresponding author Remy Daviat, now at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Perelman School of Medicine colleagues Reagan Wetherell, also a corresponding author on the study, and Henry Kranzler, as well as other researchers. For example, although the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism recommends that women consume an average of no more than 1 drink per day, recommended limits for men are twice that, an amount that exceeds the consumption level associated in the study with decreased brain volume, AMP. They employed biomedical data from this resource in the current study, specifically looking at brain MRIs from more than 36,000 adults in the biobank, which can be used to calculate white and gray matter volume in different regions of the brain. Having this dataset is like having a microscope or a telescope with a more powerful lens, Nave says. You get a better resolution and start seeing patterns and associations you couldn't before. To gain an understanding of possible connections between drinking and the brain, it was critical to control for confounding variables that could cloud the relationship. The team controlled for age, height, handedness, sex, smoking status, socioeconomic status, genetic ancestry, and county of residence. They also corrected the brain volume data for overall head size. The volunteer participants in the biobank had responded to survey questions about their alcohol consumption levels, from complete abstention to an average of 4 or more alcohol units a day. When the researchers grouped the participants by average consumption levels, a small but apparent pattern emerged. The gray and white matter volume that might otherwise be predicted by the individual's other characteristics was reduced. It's not linear, says Daviat. It gets worse the more you drink. Even removing the heavy drinkers from the analyses, the associations remained. Based on their modeling, each additional alcohol unit consumed per day was reflected in a greater aging effect in the brain. In future work, the authors hope to tap the UK Biobank and other large datasets to help answer additional questions related to alcohol use. This study looked at average consumption, but we're curious whether drinking 1 beer a day is better than drinking none during the week and then 7 on the weekend, Nave says. There's some evidence that binge drinking is worse for the brain, but we haven't looked closely at that yet. They'd also like to be able to more definitively pin down causation rather than correlation, which may be possible with new longitudinal biomedical datasets that are following young people. We may be able to look at these effects over time and, along with genetics, tease apart causal relationships, Nave says. There is some evidence that the effect of drinking on the brain is exponential, says Daviat. So, one additional drink in a day could have more of an impact than any of the previous drinks that day. That means that cutting back on that final drink of the night might have a big effect in terms of brain aging. In other words, Nave says, the people who can benefit the most from drinking less are the people who are already drinking the most. Reagan R. Wetherill is a research assistant professor. Henry R. Kranzler is the Benjamin Rush Professor in Psychiatry and Director of the Penn Center for Studies of Addiction at Penn's Perelman School of Medicine. The study was supported by the European Research Council, Grant 647,648, National Science Foundation, Grant 1,942,917, National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, Grant AA023894, and Mental Illness Research, Education, and Clinical Center at the Crescens VA Medical Center Remy Daviat, Gokhan. Associations between alcohol consumption and grey and white matter volumes in the UK Biobank. Nature Communications, 2022. 13, 1, doi, 10. 1038 per second 41467, 022, 28735, 5 University of Pennsylvania. More alcohol, less brain. Association begins with an average of just 1 drink a day. Science Daily, the 4th of March 2022. ift.tt/Wajpati9. University of Pennsylvania. 2022, March 4. More alcohol, less brain. Association begins with an average of just 1 drink a day. Science Daily. Retrieved March 4, 2022 from ift.tt/Wajpati9 University of Pennsylvania. More alcohol, less brain. Association begins with an average of just 1 drink a day. Science Daily. ift.tt/Wajpati9, accessed March 4, 2022. Please support my channel to grow by pressing subscribe button and the bell icon. We will notify you technological news. Thank you.